To our top story this half hour, Mueller report fallout. Former Nixon, like Richard Nixon, special counsel and Watergate key figure John Dean set to testify on Capitol Hill today as House Democrats seek to keep the spotlight on the Mueller report. The president tweeting this over the weekend. For 2 years, all the Democrats talked about was the Mueller report because they knew that it was loaded up with 13 angry Democrat Trump haters, later increased to 18. But despite the bias, when the report came out, the findings were no collusion and facts that led to no obstruction. The Dems were devastated after all this time and money spent, $40 million. The Mueller report was a disaster for them, but they want a redo or do-over. They are even bringing in CNN sleazebag attorney John Dean. Sorry, no do-overs, go back to work. Joining me now, Fox News senior judicial analyst, Judge Andrew.
How can I respond to that?
No, let's talk about John. Let's talk about John Dean. I made a joke about this. I said the Democrats should just, since Kevin Spacey has plenty of time on his hands, just hire him to come in as Francis Underwood and read the Mueller report aloud in his best foghorn leghorn voice. But why John Dean?
Well,
What's he got to offer?
I wish Congressman Nadler, who represents the district in which we're seated at the moment, were here, because I would ask him that. You would ask him that. I suppose they want to try and to me, it's indefensible. But from their point of view, that is the House Democrats, they want to try and analogize Don McGahn, the White House legal counsel, who's defying a subpoena, in my view, a mistake, and I can tell you the way I think he should handle it legally and ethically, to John Dean's role, the White House legal counsel, in the Nixon years. Now, there are stark differences, but with respect to John Dean, he stunned the Watergate committee. Remember, there were two committees. There was the Sam Ervin committee, which had House and Senate on it.
Right.
That went on for a year. At the beginning of that, Richard Nixon's approval rating was in the 70s. At the end of it, his approval rating was in the 30s, because witnesses kept revealing things that were new that none of us knew. I don't think the House Judiciary has that this time because of Mueller and because of cable television and investigative journalism at a level that didn't exist in the Nixon and Watergate era. I think we already know the facts. So putting John Dean on, I don't know where they're going to go. In the law, there's only two kinds of witnesses: a fact witness, a person who has perceived with their senses some relevant event and is going to relate it to a fact finder, or an opinion witness, a person who has expertise in some field and can interpret facts for the fact finder. I guess they're going to put him in that latter category.
But he will also be grilled by Republicans on this committee. So, again, the Democrat, it might work to their advantage to parse the, quote, facts in the way that they want to via using John Dean as a mouthpiece, but he's got to answer to the Republicans, too.
I think it's going to be a negative for the Democrats at the end of the day by the time the Republicans finish interrogating him. And, of course, they can interrogate him about anything they want. They can interrogate him about the Nixon years, which for all of us is really just history. He's one of the few people still around from those days.
But it's a history that a lot of people don't know.
Well, then maybe the Democrats think they're going to tell that history.
Shoot, even I was a child during the Watergate hearings. And I'll point something else out, because you got to go back and do a lot of reading on what was going on. There was so much more going on to hurt Nixon's approval rating. There was the failed confirmation of L. Patrick Gray as the FBI chief. He had been the acting chief during the Watergate break-in. So all these things started tumbling out during this confirmation hearing. It wasn't even just the Rayburn Committee and the other Watergate.
Vietnam War raging at the
and the Arab oil embargo that year. You want to talk about
history.
Approval ratings?
He went from one of the greatest landslides in history, 72, to resignation and ignominy in 74. What happened in those 2 years? Sam Ervin, a jolly old avuncular chair of that committee, who just kept bringing witness after witness forward, the most significant of which was the fellow we're going to hear from this afternoon. But what he's going to say about Mueller and President Trump is nothing but his opinion. Right. And I don't know how relevant that is to a fact finder.
Really, before we move on, do you think that Mueller eventually testifies?
Yes, I do.
You do?
Yes. I am very critical of lawyers who avoid subpoenas. If somebody sends you a subpoena, a legitimate authority, a grand jury, a congressional committee, and you can't give that information. You don't disregard it. You take that subpoena to a judge and you challenge it. You end up with contempt and with damage to your legal reputation and to your ability to practice law when you just sit on it. So the Attorney General and Don McGahn should not be sitting on these subpoenas. They should challenge them.
Let's move on to investigating the investigators. On Sunday Morning Futures yesterday, Maria sat down for an exclusive interview with former Trump campaign advisor Carter Page. Here's what he had to say about his relationship with FBI informant Stefan Halper. Listen to this.
When you spoke with Mr. Halper, for example, were you under the impression that you were getting information for the State Department and the CIA and the FBI at that time?
I know I had a long-standing relationship with Professor Halper, and, you know, we'll see. Again, I always believe in innocent till proven guilty, but this was my conversations with him intensified right the month before my illegitimate FISA warrant in September 2016, when all these defamatory articles are being placed by the DNC. Professor Halper was being very positive, and, you know, he was like sort of a Harriet Tubman figure of, you know, he understands sort of the injustices of or he presented himself as understanding that, and, you know, I sort of trusted him.
Judge, your reaction to that?
Well, I mean, the more we hear from Carter Page, and of course the missing part of the puzzle is what was told to FISA. The president says that that's going to be released, notwithstanding howls of outrage from the intelligence community. The more we hear from Carter Page, the more this sounds like a classic setup. Information provided to him, fed to him so that he would say something, so they could tape him saying it, so they could take that transcript. Aha, look what this guy said. He works for Trump, he's got friends in the Kremlin, therefore we have to investigate Trump. That, in a nutshell, is what I believe is now quite apparent. The FBI, domestic and foreign intelligence, all working together to concoct this investigation, which ended up with the Mueller report.
Do you think John Durham is going to get to the bottom of this since he's in charge? I mean, he's gone after agents before.
Yeah.
Is this something that he's going to review?
Well, he's certainly going to review it, Lawrence. I don't know if he's going to get to the bottom of it. At one point we heard this is a full-blown criminal investigation with a grand jury. Another point we heard, this is just a review for the Attorney General. If it's the latter, he won't get to the bottom.
But he has the authority if he wants to go to a grand jury, being the U.S. attorney, right?
Yes, he does. And if he's going to go there, then he's probably going to get to the bottom of this. The last time he did this, I was very critical of him, and that was CIA torture. And the films of the torture, he whitewashed the whole thing. Nobody was prosecuted. There were many war crimes committed there.
But again, Catherine Harris reported last week that Durham has gotten up to speed. It's getting up to speed.
Well, if Catherine is correct, and I would have no reason to disbelieve that.
I paraphrase.
Yeah, we'll find out soon what he knows. Will we find it out in a report, or will we find it out in an indictment? That's your question.
Well, he's the prosecutor.
Yes.
Before that, we're going to hear from Michael Horowitz, the Inspector General at in the Justice Department. His report is coming out in a few weeks.
I think so.
And that'll be focused, we think, strictly on the FISA warrant and the abuses there.
And I've said this time and time again. The problem is FISA itself. It's secrecy. It's low bar for issuing subpoenas. It's awful track record of 99.9% of all search warrants requested, granted.
Judge, I shake my head. The fact that the FBI could get a surveillance warrant on an American citizen, somebody working for one presidential campaign, using information paid for by the president, the campaign opponent.
Correct.
That's just shocking and appalling, and I think everybody should be upset.
Bottom line is, they can do this to Donald Trump, now the most powerful person on the planet. They could do this to anybody.
Yeah.
I know. And again, it will bite you. It will
Yes.
come back and bite you. The people who were cheering that maybe and are cheering it now, it will come back to haunt you. Judge
Yes.
Napolitano.
Pleasure, guys.
Andrew